Welcome, everyone, to another featured music special on the Artist First Radio Network, something we've been doing for a very long time. We have a reoccurring guest. Is that the right words to use? Reoccurring. Reappearing might be a better term. He's well known on the network. It's an excellent broadcast you guys should tune in. We'll tell you about in a minute. Right now, let's welcome Dr. Andre Jerry. Hey, Doctor.
Hey, Z, how's it going, man?
It is going well. How is life in San Juan, Puerto Rico?
Hey, I'm loving it, man. The weather is on point today. Even went to the beach this morning, so I'm filled up. I got my vibes and everything, so I'm ready to go.
What are the beaches like in San Juan?
Oh, man, this past weekend, and I think it's because of the Bad Bunny concert, but it was, like, full. This morning, not so much. I like to go around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. The only people you'll see out there are the people walking their dogs and, the yoga instructors and things like that. So it's plenty of space, and it's just less populated. So that's my type of vibe. But, yeah, this past weekend, it was just completely lit out there.
Yeah, that's people are attracted to beaches. I am. It's been 15 years since I've been on a beach, but I look forward to getting there sooner or later. Yeah, wonderful
Good time, brother.
Yeah, wonderful things. But we're going to have to cover some ground we covered on your first music special with us. Folks, there's another one up there. Have we done one or two previous to this? My brain ain't working yet.
It feels like we've done two, but I think the one that you're referring to is the one on my latest book. And then we followed that up with a music special. So it feels like we've done two music specials, but no, this is actually the second one.
Both the book special that Dr. Andre's talking about and the previous music special are up on the archives, of course. You guys can check them out. Let's cover a little bit of background that, for the benefit of listeners who are hearing about you for the very first time. Give us the little thumbnail to tell us the story of who is Dr. Andre Jerry, for instance. Where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Columbus, Georgia. For those who are, Army-based, that's right next to Fort Benning, Georgia. And Fort Benning is the largest military installation in the world. And I went through some name changes, but I think, at least I hear, I don't watch the news, but I've heard that the name has been reverted back to its original name, which is Fort Benning, but it was Fort Moore for like maybe 1 or 2 years. But I'm glad it's back to Fort Benning. I never had any issue with that name. That's the name I grew up with, knowing that military base. So, but yeah, that's where I'm from. I'm a military brat. My father was a declared Army veteran, and he retired at Fort Benning. And shortly after I came along, I think I mentioned before that he had me at the ripe age of 51 years old. So to say I was a surprise is a bit of an understatement. So, yeah, Army brat, grew up in Columbus, Georgia, and ended up going into the military myself. Not the Army, but the Air Force. That was a short stint. But then I found my way back into the Air Force as a civilian working for the Department of the Air Force by way of the Department of Defense. And fast forward a decade, I retired from the Department of Defense this past March, relocated back to San Juan, Puerto Rico, where I am now, and life has just been a dream since then.
Do you regret that you weren't in the service long enough to have Pete Hegseth as your commander?
No. I did have some regret initially. Like anyone who enlisted to serve, I wanted to serve and do my time. And, my plan was to retire from the Air Force. But like I mentioned on, I think, Renato's show, we talked about this a little bit, but it was discovered during basic training that I had sickle cell trait. And so I passed out during one of our, PT exercises, and they ran all types of tests on me and couldn't figure out what was happening, what was going on with me. They finally ran some blood tests and came back and told me that I had sickle cell trait, and what I experienced passing out was a full-blown anemic attack. And so, unfortunately, I had to be medically discharged. So I really didn't get a very long career in the service, but, things work out the way they're supposed to.
That's what we like to say, folks, right? Because we have so little control over the world and what happens in our lives that we have to sort of just take it as it comes. But overall, you had a positive experience in the military. Would you encourage today's youth to sign up?
Absolutely. I always tell, young people especially, if they are at that place where they're not really ready for college, they don't feel like that's something that they want to go right into after high school, and you're still kind of struggling to find yourself, the military, any of the branches would be a great move. I tell people all the time, it's the only career where you get to retire when you're, 40 years old. Those 20 years go by so fast, and I always recommend that for our young people who don't have a clear direction on what they want to do. You don't have to do the 20 years. Do the 3 or the 4 or the 6 years, but get some experience under your belt. Get away from home. That's really important. And just get out in the world and have a sense of pride knowing that you are serving your country. And there are not a lot of people lining up to do that right now, this current environment. But I still highly recommend that to young people who suffering from a lack of direction.
There's a commercial for you, folks. I think that we used to have the greatest military in the world. With the way things are going, I don't know that we can say it that way anymore, but I hope we can. Anyway, we're going to not be a political program today, folks, as much as the world of politics is encroaching on all of us every day. Now, you are I think I can call you a creative person. You're absolutely an artist. You do many things in the art world well. One of those would be music. One of those is literature and being an author. You also do some great jobs with the computer graphics stuff too. Have you always considered yourself, or do you consider yourself an artist?
That's a good question. I've considered myself an artist for a long time. I've had to sort of hide. I don't know if hide would be the best word. I've had to subvert that part of me because I elected to, go into the federal civil service and pursue other so-called professional, jobs and what have you. And so that part of my, personality I've subverted for a long time because, just of the pressure of, being professional or doing what other people expect for you to do. And so I just kind of pushed it in the background, but I always had the yearning to do music, the yearning to sing, the yearning to act and just do all these creative things. And writing was always something that I leaned heavily on. And so, at the right age of 46 years old, almost 47, I'm really finally getting a chance to step fully into that. And it's just, been the greatest thing ever.
Well, we've been doing this number of decades now, and we have a sort of unscientific poll going. And that would be the debate of a person becomes the person they are. Is it nature or nurture? And that's the question I'm asking you. Are you the type of person, an artistic and creative person because of your background, or is that just the way you were born?
I think I was born with it. I remember doing little skits and play acting and doing little movies, and I've had a camcorder since forever. And I remember doing little skits and things at age 5 and 6 with my cousins and, writing little songs and just doing these little performances in front of the family. And so looking back, it's always been in me. And then, of course, like with many people, you get older and you fall into the whole, do something professional or, do like others are doing type thing. And it's not that my parents didn't encourage that type of pursuit of artistry or anything like that. It was something that I felt I had to subvert, and I don't know. I watched my parents be entrepreneurs, and they were very business minded, and had all types of businesses and clubs of their own and things like that. And so I just kind of gravitated. I would say it's a separate part of me. There's a side of me that's very professional, very business minded, but then there's that other part that I'm just now starting to fully nurture, and that's that artistic side.
Well, let's get into a piece of Dr. Andre's artistic side. The first track we're going to play off the new album is called Cognac Conversations. Interesting title. Now, tell them a little bit about what they're going to hear.
Yeah, so Cognac Conversations, that's a great way to start the this music special here, because it's kind of like if you picture yourself on your second pour in a cigar lounge, the lighting is dim, and you're just in a deep, relaxed conversation with friends, and you guys are laughing and having a great conversation, and everything is just flowing smoothly, just like cognac. That's this particular track. And it's just something that you imagine hearing in the background while you're really enjoying that moment in a cigar lounge.
This is a great track. I enjoyed this one a lot. Let's see what you guys think, folks. Here we go. Folks, that track is called Cognac Conversations. As I was remarking to Dr. Andre as the song was playing, having played in numerous jazz nightclubs over my career, that was it's a great setup there. That's exactly what was pictured in my mind when I first heard the tune. So, congratulations, Dr. Jerry. Well done.
Thank you.
Music's a weird thing. It is a personal thing. You can't be told that you like a song. You actually have to like it. Although someone might take issue with that when you watch how the music industry works and tries to pound songs into people's heads. That's a little different. But knowing that, what type of music is your favorite style of music?
Well, to be honest with you, EDM, electronic dance music, is my favorite. I would say good old-fashioned R&B music would be a close runner-up to that. It's not like I was a big dancer coming up. I don't know why I gravitate so much to EDM music, but I just love the instrumentality of it. I love the different sounds, syncopated sounds and things like that. And I like being able to just get on the dance floor and zone out to a song. And so that's what really got me into being a music artist, and developing beats and things like that is created my own version and style of EDM music. So yeah, it definitely will have to be EDM.
You made the comment in the last segment that your parents were entrepreneurs, and you said, if I heard you correctly, they had a couple clubs. Did you mean nightclubs?
They did own a nightclub. I think maybe two, but definitely one for sure. This was when my dad was still enlisted, and this was before I was born, mind you. I hear tell about this from my sisters, my older sisters, but it was either in Fort Bragg as an NCO nightclub or just outside of the club. But at either rate, it was in the Fort Bragg area. And it was a nightclub, and I can't remember the name of it. I would have to ask my sister. But, yeah, they owned a nightclub in conjunction with another married couple that they were close with. And I believe it was the Stinsons or something like that. But, yeah, I've seen pictures of my parents in that element, and they just looked like, a little celebrity couple. But so it was just great to hear those stories and just to hear about a side of my parents that I didn't get to personally see for myself. My older sisters got to see that part and experience that. But, yeah, so that's where I guess I get the love for music from. And I think I shared on one of the last specials that we did that my father used to sing lullabies to me going to sleep, particularly when I was young. And he would just make up little lullabies on the fly. And so just all those little things add up to just, make a person appreciate music and appreciate the art of music.
Do you think, a place that serves alcohol is, could be a restaurant, but it's a bar, right? I mean, for a place where you go in and there's a bar and people sit and there might be music playing there, like on the jukebox or a stereo. But in my mind, what makes a nightclub different than a regular bar is they have entertainment. Would you agree?
I would agree. That definitely adds a different layer to it. Sometimes you'll have people come and do comedy skits or stand-up comedy, something like that. Sometimes, or a lot of times, there's live music or a live band, to the point that you were making during the break. But yeah, that definitely distinguishes a nightclub from just a regular club environment.
Well, we're segueing into the second track, and the title is Lounge Godfather. You seeing a trend here, folks? Tell us about this one.
Okay, so Lounge Godfather, that song, it's one that is for that quiet, confident entrance. Imagine being, a gentleman that's walking into a lounge. He's walking in, owning the room. He doesn't feel the need to say a word. He's just walking in. He's smooth. He's classy. and he's got presence. And he owns the place without having to say he owns the place. He's the person everyone knows, and, you know, we call him Lounge Godfather. And this would be sort of his, I would say, his theme music. This would be that person's theme music. So yes, this is Lounge Godfather.
Lounge Godfather by our guest, Dr. Andre Jerry. Another great cut there, man. I'm digging this.
Yeah, man, I knew you would like it. That's the one we just listened to is my second favorite on the album for sure. But all of this music is great, and it's just great lounge music, great cigar lounge music, and it's just if you just want to vibe to something. And I intentionally didn't use any lyrics for any of these songs because I just wanted it to be a vibe and something you can just put on, sip, enjoy your drink, enjoy your company, enjoy your solitude if you want. But it's just perfect.
Well, and music, a style that you're listening to now, listeners, is I very much enjoy it because it's fun to play as a musician, but it allows the audience to experience your music and still interact with whoever they're with. How many times have you gone to a nightclub or a concert venue and it is so loud that even the person you're sitting right next to, you have to scream at them for them to hear you? I think you get listener fatigue. Anyway, that's all fine and dandy for certain venues, and if that's what you want to do, great. But these types of songs, these types of clubs that this would play in, it's just wonderful because you get it all. You get great music, you get the laid back, you get the vibes, and you get to enjoy the company of your guests. So
right.
when is, or maybe I'm a little late to the game here, when is the first Dr. Andre Jerry concert?
I've been asked that a couple of times, and I have not performed any of my music at any venues. Maybe because I haven't officially been invited to or sought out those opportunities. I've been so involved with my previous career that I retired from. But I'm sure that type of stuff is right around the corner. Something tells me it's right around the corner, probably right here in Puerto Rico. So I'm sure you'll be the first to know about it.
Would that be something that might intimidate you?
Oh, for sure I'll be nervous, I'll get the job done like I always do. But, as a, natural introverted person, I'm definitely going to have to step outside of myself and, take on a persona to deliver the music in a way that the audience is going to feel it. But I think the closest thing I've done to that is MC. I MC Renata's annual event that she throws. She didn't throw one last year because, she got married and had a bunch of other stuff going on. But I did MC the event the year before, and it was a great experience. I got to sort of hone a little bit of my comedic chops, which is something else I want to venture into, is doing a comedy album and doing some stand-up comedy. But it was a great experience. So I would think emceeing, going from that to actually performing on stage, wouldn't be such a stretch. I could do it and have fun with it, and I might get addicted to it, like I did with hosting a radio show. You never know.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to make a living, being an artist, a musician, a performer. But if you don't get nervous before a gig, you need to get out of the business, ladies and gentlemen. I played thousands and thousands of gigs, and if you're not just a little bit nervous, then the crowd doesn't deserve you.
I agree 100%.
Your job is not to, as a musician, your job is to entertain the people. It doesn't mean get up there and make a jackass out of yourself, but they're there for a reason. They're there to see you. A lot of musicians get this ass backwards. They think, oh, well, they're here for me. No. You are here for their benefit. It's anyway.
Absolutely.
That's a bad place to start as an artist. Here's an oddity, and I'll ask you for your insight. Why is it easier to play for an audience of 1,000 than it is to play for an audience of 30?
Well, you can... With a smaller, more intimate audience, you can see every eye. You can look into every eye, and you can almost sort of feel their connection, their feedback. Sometimes that freaks you out even more. When it's 1,000 people or a large room of people, you can't really make a contact with any one person. So you can sort of just look beyond them and not get so nervous. But, yeah, more intimate settings, definitely more nerve-wracking. And that's just speaking from a public speaking, perspective. I've spoken, when I was in management, I've had to speak in front of small groups like, 5 or 10 people, maybe 15. And that was just a wreck, because I can feel every stare. But speaking to an auditorium of people is a lot more, not relaxing, but, not as nerve-wracking as the smaller audiences. So you got a good point there.
Well, in some of the bigger gigs, the audience is like 20 feet back from the stage. There's usually, on a bigger gig like 5,000 or something, 10,000, there's going to be a big space between the first row of people at the audience and then the stage. So they are way back there. You're exactly right. They're somewhat off, but other gigs, the audience could literally set their drink on my piano. That's a no-no, but they're right freaking there. You could literally reach over and touch the audience. I like that situation. And people I think they're more interested in, not more, but it's an interesting place to be a spectator because you get to actually see what the musicians are doing. You're that close. You can see some of the coolest gigs we played. The Flying Pig in Salem, Ohio. They are literally on top of you. You can touch the audience. Anyway, okay, I'm tired of reminiscing. Sorry about that.
Oh, man.
Now,
and, a lot of artists prefer that more intimate setting. I know Shantae Moore, R&B singer, Shantae Moore enjoys more of the intimate flow and, not such the big venues. Erykah Badu is another one who prefers a more closer, intimate space when she's performing. So, yeah, that's right up some artists' alley. But then you got others that prefer the bigger venues. So it's just, depends on the artist.
Of course, the downside to playing for a situation where the crowd's right on top of you is when they throw things at you, they can probably hit you.
Oh, God.
But if they're 30 feet back from the stage, some of the people can't throw that far.
So what do you do when someone throws something at you in your own stage performance? Has that happened to you? And is your natural instinct to keep playing and the show must go on, or does it just completely throw you off?
Well, one time, we didn't get stuff thrown at us very often. It was very rare. Our bands were good. We were good at what we did. One day we're playing this gig. It's an indoor gig, and standing there, we're playing, and something hits me right in the side of the head. I mean, hard. It was like somebody hit me with a rock, pow. And I'm like, I stand up when I play piano in the dance bands I was in, and I grabbed the keyboard. I did not go down. And I'm thinking, what the hell just happened to me? And, we kept playing, and then at the break, one of the waitresses came up to me and apologized. She said, I was trying to get your drummer's attention. Of course, he's behind me and over to the left there. But she said what she hit me with was an ice ball from out of the ice bin. She grabbed this thing about the size of a tennis ball. It was a hunk of ice. She liked our drummer romantically and was trying to get his attention, but she threw like a girl, and it didn't go that far. And hit me right in the side of the head. But no, we haven't had any bad things thrown at us from people. But, yep, I did not go down. I stayed on my feet.
I'm glad you did. What is it about the drummer? Why is it always the drummer who gets all the action?
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Of course, I'm kind of ugly, so I didn't get any action. I don't care what instrument you play. When you look like me, you ain't getting no action. But, yeah, why do chicks dig drummers? And why do drummers hang out? Wait, I won't get into it. There's a bunch of drummer jokes. What do you call people that hang out with musicians? Drummers. What?
Wow.
Think about that. Room 444. Wasn't there a TV show in the 70s? Oh, no, that was Room 222, wasn't it? Okay, I'm just showing my age.
227? I don't know. I haven't heard of that as a show. Apparently, there's a Room 444 that's some type of private club in Morocco or somewhere in the Middle East. So I've been told. But my Room 444 is completely imaginary and fictional. It's like an imaginary cigar lounge that you walk into. It has low lights. The seating is velvet, and it just has this sense of intimacy. So when you listen to Room 444, just close your eyes and just step into that world for the next few minutes. It's a room. It's my imaginary room, cigar lounge room. Check it out.
You're listening to a featured music special on the Artist First Radio Network. Our guest is Dr. Andre Jerry. He has a program on the network called The Dr. Andre Jerry Show. Imagine that. He's quite successful at what he does. He has fascinating programs, and they are all available to you as podcasts at the Artist First website. I strongly encourage you guys to check it out. He's good at what he does. Also good at being a radio show host, as you guys can hear, Dr. Andre Jerry is putting together some great tracks. We're going to move up into the next one, which is called Grown Man Perfume. Now, that's an interesting title, Dr. Andre. What was going on with this one?
Oh, man, some songs just sound like a scent. You know, so when I put this one together, I was like, this just sounds like a grown man sexy stuff, you know. Imagine you're headed out, maybe to the club, a nightclub, cigar lounge, whatever. You got on your fresh attire, you got on your watch that everybody likes, and you just look great. And last thing you do before you head out the door is spray on your perfume, your cologne. Men call cologne perfume in Saudi Arabia and other European countries. So yeah, I think just in the States we refer to it as a woman's fragrance, but other places call it perfume. But yeah, when I put this song together, when I played it, I was like, you know what, this is what you play when you put that last spritz of cologne on before you head out to wherever you're going, whether it's a date or whatever. So this is kind of what that vibe is, and that's why I gave it that title.
All right, folks, let's hear it. Grown Man Perfume by Dr. Andre Jerry. What do you get when you put a creative person and some good music software and some creativity? You get this collection of 5 tracks from Dr. Andre Jerry. You know, something we didn't talk about that I'd like to, that's if you're looking on the Artist First homepage and you're listening to this live, you can see the album cover. Dr. Jerry, for those that can't see it, would you please describe the album cover and why you made it the way you made it?
Yeah, so good question. So the album cover, actually, I designed it to make it look like an old-fashioned vinyl record cover. You know, so imagine that you're looking at a vinyl record sleeve. That's the vibe I was going for with that. And the title of the album is called Vs.O.P. And that's more so to do with me reclaiming my... Vs.O.P. was originally going to be my artist name. That was... Initially, it was my pen name that I used for some of my more risque poetry and different little writings that I did. And because I was in such an uber professional environment, I didn't want to, you know, publish any of these risque poems or lyrics under Dr. Andre Jerry, or at the time, Andre Jerry. So, yeah, Vs.O.P. was my pen name. And like I said, it was going to be my official artist name, and I ran into some trademark issues. Apparently, there's another artist out there going by Vs.O.P. And I was going to fight it, but, you know, some battles you just walk away from. I just said, let them have it. And I decided to go with Dr. Andre Jerry, which turned out to work pretty well for me. So, but yeah, that whole album cover, I wanted it to look like a vintage vinyl record cover. And you'll see an image of a hotel door that's room 444, and you'll see a rose taped to the door. So imagine a lover went to room 444 looking for his or her, person of the night. Their knocks were unanswered. And so instead of just leaving the rose by the door on the floor, they just taped it on the door, and the person who would see it would know who it was from. So it was that whole vibe. I wanted to pay an homage to the late night lounge culture that I fell in love with when I was over in the Middle East, or the shisha bars that we would call them hookah bars. But shisha and hookah is very big over in the Middle East. And so that's where I kind of fell in love with this whole lounge vibe. So this whole album, this entire album is sort of an homage to that environment that I sort of fell in love with.
Most people will never write a piece of music. An even smaller number of those people will never record a piece of music and produce it. You, of course, have done both and done them well. I'd like to talk about what's happening to the people like you who can do this. You know, and it's not something that I consider me in the group. That's not something that we do every day. And there may be long periods of time where you don't write anything. And then maybe there's a period of time where there's an explosion of creativity that works. Has that happened to you, and how does that whole thing work?
That's exactly how it happens. It sort of just ebbs and flows. I can go months without working on music or, writing lyrics, and I'll just be inspired by something I see on TV or something I see in real life, or I'll hear something that I like, and it'll spark something. Or sometimes just the title of a song will just hit me out the blue, and I'll go from there. But typically what happens is that I just, I get in this, I guess I call it just a vibe, and I hear this beat or this line of notes in my head. And what I do because if I don't jump on it instantly, I'll lose it. So what I do is I grab my phone and I turn on the voice recorder and I hum it or sing whatever the tune or the melody is. And that's my way of capturing it. And later, once I have some time, I'll go back and put some, music to it and try to make it a full beat. And then from there, once I have the beat, typically I write the lyrics after. Very rarely do the lyrics come before I can hear the beat. I have to get the beat together first, and then the beat will just inform what the lyrics are for me, just depending on my mood.
Well, in your young and budding career as a recording artist, how many songs have you put together so far?
Damn, that's a good question. I probably have now released is a totally different number, but the total amount of songs I have worked on and completed are probably over 30, maybe just under 50. I haven't nearly, released that amount of songs or content, but yeah, there are a lot of uncompleted or finished songs I don't quite know what to do with yet, or that still is missing something. So they're just on standby. But I've created a lot of music, yes.
We had a guy on, way back in the early days of the station. He did 36 albums in 36 months. Full-length albums.
I believe it.
36 albums. But you know what? It wasn't that good. I think he was trying to reach a number instead of the quality of the music. Look how fast I can do this. Well, okay, I congratulate him for doing all that, but it's not really the quantity, in my opinion, as much as the quality. What do you think?
It's absolutely about the quality. You can get caught up in those ambitious goals and stuff like that. Oh, I'm going to release 4 albums this year and all that type of stuff. But really, like you said, it's about the quality. You want to just throw a bunch of crap out there, and then, because it's going to speak to your reputation. If people listen to all the wrong, crappy stuff, they're going to be like, oh, this person's no good. But yeah, just put music out when you feel it. I felt like the timing was right for this album. It felt like people needed to be introduced to this vibe right now in this summer environment. And so energetically, I was just feeling it. And so I said, you know what, it's time to release this. I've had most of the songs completed. I think Room 444 was the one that I finished last. It just felt incomplete. And I went back and added some vocal interpolations in there, and that gave it really the finished sound that I wanted. So that's what held up this particular song. And the reason why I love Room 444 so much is because it blends the jazz and also my EDM music that I love. So it's like a mixture of both. But it's definitely quality over quantity.
When you begin a new piece of music, do you find yourself getting totally immersed in that music at that moment and you stay with it? Not necessarily all the way to the final take of the song, but you look up and 6 or 7 or 8 hours have gone by.
That's definitely happened to me before. Sometimes I just can't walk away from it until I get it at a place, not to say it's completed, but I have to reach a certain point to where I can walk away from it and then put maybe the final touches on it later. So I definitely get immersed in songs. It doesn't happen with all of them, but there's just some particular ones, especially on my last album, which was a deeply personal album. That one, I kind of had that aspect of staying on top of it until it was how I really wanted it. But this one, I was able to work on it here, work on it there, sort of piece it together until I came with the finished product. So it just depends. It depends on my mood. It depends on the project.
Well, I'm looking at the clock, and we got just enough time to fit the last track in before the top of the hour. Where can people pick up your music? Where can they support you?
Oh, man, it's easier to pick it up on YouTube Music. I love YouTube Music. They let you preview all the albums. So you can hear it uninterrupted, but you can listen to Vs.O.P. anywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Just search for Dr. Andre Jerry. You'll see both of my albums as well as all of my singles that I've released. I've released more singles than anything else, but definitely check out the albums, Vs.O.P. and also my first album, which was Wish You Were Here. Both are very excellent projects.
And I concur on that, folks. Check it out. We do this. The motto of our station, remember, the slogan of Artist First is, "We can lose money better than anyone." Our other slogan is, "We bring you the best new music you've never heard." And that's exactly what we've been doing here this evening with our guest, Dr. Andre Jerry. We got just enough time to spin this before the top of the hour. Your parting thoughts as we sign off.
Well, I just want to thank you again for having me on for this music special number 2. I'm starting to feel like the darling of the network, so thank you so much. I really appreciate your support of all of my music. Guys, you can check out Vs.O.P. on all the streaming platforms. This last song that you're going to listen to is Velvet Rhythm. Think of this one as like a late-night closer. This is the song that you're going to hear toward the end of the night. It's the song that's going to be winding things down, you know. So just listen to it, let the music take you over. It's pure, it's smooth, and it's hypnotic. But thank you so much for your time and listening tonight. I've enjoyed it.